My name is Dr. Ryan Cole, and before you touch that scroll button, I need 30 seconds of your attention. Sit where you are, press your foot flat on the floor, and squeeze your calf as hard as you can for 3 seconds. Now let it go. Did it feel strong, like it used to? Or did it feel like something borrowed, something quietly slipping away from you a little more every year? If it's the second one, you just found the exact reason we're talking today. And I promise you, what I'm about to show you is going to change how you think about your own two legs. Here's what almost nobody tells you plainly. Your legs are not weakening because a birthday happened. They're weakening because the food reaching those muscles every single day isn't giving them what they need to rebuild themselves. That is a completely different problem than getting old, and it means something wonderful. It means this is fixable, starting with your very next meal. If you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, even beyond, hear this clearly before we go one word further. It is not too late for you. Muscle tissue keeps its ability to repair and grow for your entire life. The switch doesn't turn off. It just needs the right key, and most people have simply never been handed it. So let's talk about that key. There's a term physical therapists and researchers use called sarcopenia. Say it once with me, sarcopenia. And now forget the fancy word, because all it means is this: age-related muscle loss. It's not a disease you catch. It's a slow drift
This leg
that
just
speeds
isn't
up
what
after
it used
60
to be.
if your body isn't getting the raw materials and the daily use it needs. Left alone, that drift is what quietly turns "I'm a little slower on the stairs" into "I need someone to help me with the stairs." But here's the part that should give you hope instead of dread. That drift can be slowed, and in many people, partly reversed, with the right food and the right movement working together. Today, I'm handing you 6 specific foods, ranked from helpful all the way up to the one I think about the most, that support leg strength, steady balance, and the kind of stability that lets you trust your own body again. And I promise you this, the food sitting at number 1 is going to surprise you. Some of you have it in your pantry right now, and you've probably never once connected it to your legs. Before we start counting down, tell me something in the comments. How does it show up for you? Is it your knees buckling a little on the stairs? Is it needing both hands on the armrest just to stand up from the couch? Is it that quiet moment of hesitation before you step off a curb? Whatever it is, write it below. I read these, every one of them, and your answer might be exactly what someone else needs to see today. All right, let's count down, starting at number 6. Number 6, cottage cheese. I know, it doesn't sound exciting, but stay with me, because this one is doing something behind the scenes that most people completely miss. Cottage cheese is loaded with a slow-digesting protein called casein. Think of casein like a time-release capsule. Instead of dumping all its protein into your bloodstream in 15 minutes, it trickles out over several hours, so your muscles get a steady supply of building material while you sleep, instead of nothing at all between dinner and breakfast. Here's why that matters so much after 60. Research on older adults has found that muscle breaks down faster overnight than it did at 30, and if no protein arrives during those hours, your body starts pulling material from the muscle you already have just to keep other systems running. That's the opposite of what you want, especially in your legs, which already carry the biggest muscles in your body and the biggest workload every single day. A half cup of cottage cheese before bed acts like a night guard for your leg muscles, protecting them instead of letting them get raided while you sleep.
This
Picture
leg
a
just
man
isn't
named
what it used to
Walter,
be.
mid-70s, who woke up stiff every single morning, like his legs needed 10 full minutes just to remember how to work. Adding a small bowl of cottage cheese most evenings, alongside a short walk earlier in the day, is the kind of simple habit that people like Walter tell me made those first 10 minutes after waking noticeably easier within a few weeks. That's not a miracle. That's just finally giving the muscle what it was starving for overnight. If the texture isn't for you, blend it into a smoothie with a bit of fruit. You won't taste it, and your legs will still get every bit of the benefit. But cottage cheese only solves half the puzzle. The other half isn't happening in the muscle at all. It's happening quietly inside your blood vessels, and most people have never once connected that to why their legs feel so beat up the day after they overdo it. Number 5, canned sardines. Stay with me here, because sardines sound intense, but this is one of the most underrated foods for aging legs that exists, and it's shockingly cheap. Sardines give you two things almost no other food combines this well: omega-3 fats, and because you eat the soft little bones, a real dose of usable calcium and vitamin D. Here's the mechanism in plain terms. Chronic low-grade inflammation is like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice it in one day, but over months and years, it flattens your muscles' ability to repair themselves after everyday use: walking, gardening, climbing stairs. Omega-3 fats act like a sealant on that leak. They calm the constant low-level irritation happening inside aging muscle tissue, so your legs recover faster instead of staying sore and stiff for days after you've simply lived your life. The calcium and vitamin D from those soft bones support something just as important: the strength of the bone underneath the muscle. Weak muscle sitting on top of a weak bone is a far riskier combination than either one alone, and that combination is a huge piece of why falls become more dangerous as we age. It's not just that you're more likely to fall, it's that your body has less cushion to absorb it when you do. 2 small cans a week, mashed onto toast or into a salad, is a realistic target. If the flavor is too strong, look for sardines packed in olive oil instead of a heavy sauce, and squeeze a little lemon over them to soften the taste even further. Sardines handle the inflammation, but there's a different problem a lot of you know all too well, one that has nothing to do with soreness and everything to do with getting shaken awake at 2 in the morning. Here's what's actually causing that. Number 4, black beans. This is where people underestimate what a humble food can do. Black beans, and beans in general, are one of the richest realistic sources of magnesium available at a normal grocery store. And magnesium is the mineral behind something almost every one of you watching has felt: that sudden calf cramp that grabs you in the middle of the night and won't let go. Here's why. Magnesium tells your muscle when to relax after it contracts. Without enough of it, your muscle fibers get stuck in a partial contraction, like a fist that won't fully open. That's the cramp. Studies on older adults consistently link low magnesium intake with more frequent muscle cramping and slower recovery after activity. And many people never think to connect their nighttime cramps back to what's on their dinner plate. Beans also bring potassium and fiber, which support healthy blood pressure and steady energy delivery to working muscle, which matters more than people realize when you're trying to walk further or climb more stairs without running out of steam halfway up. A little extra water during the day helps magnesium do its job too, so pair this change with a glass of water at lunch if you can. A woman I'll call Carol, early 70s, used to wake almost every night from calf cramps so sharp she'd have to get up and walk them off. Adding a cup of black beans to her lunch most days, along with a little more water through the afternoon, is the kind of change that patients like Carol often report cutting those nighttime cramps down noticeably within a month. If dried beans feel like too much effort, canned beans, rinsed well, work every bit as well. Right here, if this is already making you rethink your grocery list, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach other people your age who need exactly this. And if you haven't subscribed yet to Dr. Ryan Cole, Senior Leg Health, now's a great time. Every week, we break down real, practical ways to protect your strength and your independence. Now, back to the list, because the next food on here handles a kind of soreness that beans alone can't touch. The kind that shows up the day after you finally push a little harder than usual. Number 3, tart cherries. Here's one that surprises almost everyone I share it with. Tart cherries, whether fresh, frozen, or as a small glass of tart cherry juice, contain deep red pigments called anthocyanins. Think of anthocyanins as tiny firefighters traveling through your bloodstream, calming down inflamed, overworked muscle tissue after activity. This matters enormously for anyone who's done a longer walk or a bit more yard work than usual and paid for it the next day with legs that felt swollen, achy, and unwilling to cooperate. That soreness is your muscle fibers experiencing small amounts of damage and inflammation from the effort. Tart cherries help your body clean that up faster. So instead of needing 3 days to recover, you might only need 1 or 2, which means you're not sidelined from the very activity that keeps your legs strong in the first place. There's a second benefit that connects directly to muscle repair, and it's easy to overlook. Tart cherries naturally support better sleep quality, and sleep is when the majority of your muscle repair actually happens. A body that sleeps more deeply repairs its legs more completely overnight, a quiet advantage most people never think to look for in a bowl of fruit. A small handful of tart cherries in the afternoon, or a small glass of the juice in the evening, is a realistic, affordable way to use this. Recovery is one half of the equation. Delivery, actually getting blood, oxygen, and fuel to the muscle in the first place, is the other half, and it's the piece almost nobody thinks to fix. Number 2, watermelon. I promise you this one is not what you expect on a list about leg strength, but the science behind it is genuinely remarkable. Watermelon is one of the richest natural sources of an amino acid called citrulline, and citrulline does something specific and powerful inside your blood vessels. Here's the plain version. Your circulatory system is like a network of garden hoses feeding every muscle in your legs. As we age, those hoses naturally get a little stiffer and narrower, meaning less blood, oxygen, and nutrients reach your muscles exactly when they need it most, climbing stairs, standing up quickly, catching your balance. Citrulline converts in your body into nitric oxide, which acts like a hand gently widening those hoses back open, letting more blood flow through to feed hungry, working muscle right when it's asking for it. Research on older adults has shown that citrulline-rich foods can noticeably improve blood flow to the legs during activity, which shows up as less fatigue, steadier balance, and an easier time recovering between bouts of movement. Now, here's the one caution I want you to genuinely hear, because I care about you being safe while you do this. If you take blood pressure medication, foods that naturally support blood flow, like watermelon, can occasionally add to that effect. It's not dangerous for most people, but if you're on blood pressure medication or you have any heart condition, please talk to your doctor before making a big change to how much of this you're eating regularly. That one conversation costs you nothing and protects you completely. For most people, 1.5 cups of fresh watermelon a few times a week, maybe with a squeeze of lime, is a simple, enjoyable way to work this in. Before I give you number 1, let's talk about how you'll actually know any of this is working, because I don't want you just hoping blindly. Here's a simple test physical therapists use all the time, and you can do it in your own living room. Sit in a sturdy chair, arms crossed over your chest. Stand up fully, then sit back down 5 times in a row, as smoothly as you can, without using your hands. Time yourself. If that takes longer than about 13 or 14 seconds, that's useful information, not a failure. It's your starting point. Write that number down somewhere you'll actually see it again. Try the test once more in 4 weeks. If your time drops, that's real, measurable proof your legs are getting stronger. No guesswork required. And if standing up 5 times in a row feels like too much right now, that's completely fine. Start with 2. Rest, do 2 more. There is no shame in starting small. There is only value in starting. If you're wondering where to begin with everything I've shared, don't try to change everything tonight. Pick one food, the one that felt easiest, and add it consistently for the next 2 weeks before bringing in a second one. Small, steady changes outlast big ones that burn out by Thursday, and a habit you actually keep beats a perfect plan you abandon. And now, number 1. The food I think about more than almost anything else on this list, because so few people ever connect it to their legs at all. Dark chocolate. Specifically, dark chocolate with a high cocoa content, not the sugary bars sitting near the checkout line. Real dark chocolate contains plant compounds called cocoflavanols, and researchers studying blood flow in older adults have found that cocoflavanols can meaningfully improve circulation to working muscle, in some ways similar to what we just talked about with watermelon, but through a completely different pathway inside your blood vessel walls. Here's the simplest way to picture it. Imagine the inner lining of your blood vessels as a door. As we age, that door gets a little stiffer, a little slower to open. Cocoa flavanols help that door swing open more easily and more fully when your legs are working, so more oxygen and fuel arrive exactly when your muscles are asking for it, on a walk, on the stairs, or just standing up from a chair after sitting a while. There's something else dark chocolate does that deserves real credit. It's genuinely satisfying. So many food changes we ask people to make feel like punishment, and punishment rarely lasts. A small square of good dark chocolate in the afternoon is one of the very few leg health habits that also feels like a small daily reward. And habits that feel good are the ones that actually stick around long enough to matter. 1 to 2 small squares, at least 70% cocoa, a few times a week, is a realistic target. This isn't a replacement for the other 5 foods, or for movement. Think of it as the final piece that helps everything else work a little better. And that's really the truth about all 6 of these. Cottage cheese feeding your muscles overnight, sardines cooling the inflammation that wears them down, black beans quieting the cramps that steal your sleep, tart cherries speeding up your recovery, watermelon opening the pathways that feed your legs, dark chocolate helping that same blood flow work even better. None of these foods is magic on its own. Together, used consistently, they support a body that is genuinely trying to rebuild itself, if you'll just give it the materials and the movement to do it. I want to leave you with something before you go, because I don't want this to be information you nod along to and forget by tomorrow. You were not meant to measure your life by which stairs you can avoid or which family outings you quietly sit out of because you're afraid your legs won't hold you. That fear is real, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But it is not permanent, and it is not the final word on what your body is capable of. Your muscles are still listening. They are still willing to rebuild at 62, at 74, at 85. All they're waiting for is you to start feeding them the way they actually need and to keep showing up for them, one small choice at a time. So tell me in the comments, which one of these 6 are you adding to your kitchen first? I want to know. And I promise you I read every single answer. If this helped you see your legs a little differently today, do me one favor. Hit subscribe right here on Dr. Ryan Cole Senior Leg Health, because every single week we're going to keep giving you real, practical ways to stay strong, stay steady, and stay exactly where you belong, standing on your own 2 feet, moving through your life on your own terms. I'll see you in the next one.